now.
Rhonda, you begin.
Yes. Hello, everyone. We are the Story Sunbirds, a kidlit collective of authors and illustrators whose mission is to create a dynamic and inclusive community rooted in justice, anti-Semitism, and anti-colonialism. So 1 year ago today, the children of Gaza held a press conference outside of El Shifa Hospital to ask for an end to the war. And today we're taking part in a Children's Day of Action. It's a multi-organizational, multi-day effort to commemorate that day. And our action is a day-long read-aloud. So we have amazing authors and illustrators. You've seen some of them already, and we're presenting every 20 minutes today until 7 p.m. And you can find the lineup in the chat. And we are also raising money for the Middle East Children's Alliance. Your donation will provide essential services like shelter, food, clean water, medical aid, and children's programming to Palestinian families. So check out the link in the chat. And if you donate, email us a receipt of your donation, and you will be entered into a signed book giveaway from some of our presenting authors and illustrators. And again, that is all available in the chat. So Hannah, then the next speaker is Hannah Moushabeck. And she is not going to be doing it live. We're gonna play a recording. So we will not be doing the Q&A at the end, obviously. But we're excited to listen to her story. So here is Hannah Moushabeck.
Alex, we can't hear sound.
We can't hear it. Yeah.
No.
Uh-oh. Okay. Give me one moment, please. Sorry, everyone.
That's okay.
All difficulties. We're working.
Okay, I'm gonna try one. I think I fixed it.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah Moushabeck, and I am the author of Homeland, My Father Dreams of Palestine.
I'm just pausing to make sure. Can we hear it now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
That's all good.
Illustrated
All right.
by Read.
Well, no, we can't hear anymore.
So yeah, we can't hear it
The
again.
sound went gone.
Okay, I think I have to keep myself unmuted. I think I figured it out.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah Moushabeck, and I am the author of Homeland, My Father Dreams of Palestine, illustrated by Reem Mado. These are the beautiful end papers that you'll see when you open my book, and they're illustrations of photographs of my family in Palestine. We waited in bed for our father to come home from work. We know he's coming when we hear the coins jingle in his pockets as he walks up the stairs. Sometimes he whistles us to sleep. Sometimes he tells us stories. We like the stories best. There's the story about how he fed his neighbor Muhammad so many beans that he farted powerfully enough to lift off the ground. No way. And then there are stories about our homeland, a place we've never been. Every summer, my father visited his grandparents, Teta Maria and Sido Abu Michel, who lived in the old city of Jerusalem. The final day of one visit started with his favorite breakfast, kak. Teta Maria called through the window to a street vendor below. She dropped a basket on a rope, and up it came, delicious bread, still warm. No matter how much food my father ate, Teta Maria always told him, "Eat more, Habibi, eat more." His Sido was a stern-looking, tarbush-wearing, argila-puffing, mustachioed man. He was always busy with grown-up matters. But this bright morning, Sido announced that together, the two of them would visit the family cafe. Walking through the streets of East Jerusalem, my father and his Sido stopped every few paces to greet people and tell stories. Abu Mishal was called Al-Mukhtar, the head of the community, and he spoke many languages. They walked hand in hand through a bustling collection of colorful vendors. Men and women sold everything from olive oil soap with rose water and heaping bags of za'atar to gold jewelry and embroidered textiles. As they walked, they were serenaded by sounds. The chanting of the muezzin's call to prayer mixed with the ringing of church bells and the market vendors singing the praises of pickling cucumbers or prickly pears. Cucumbers as small as baby's fingers, prickly pears so delicious they melt in your mouth. They could hear the cheerful sounds of children practicing debka dancing and the songs of Kulthum that blasted from radios on windowsills. But what fascinated my father the most was the juice vendor. A short man, he carried a big tank filled with jalab on his back. He traveled by foot from neighborhood to neighborhood. To announce his arrival, he played beautiful, intricate rhythms using brass cups and saucers. To his teta's horror, my father later practiced these same rhythms at home, using her china. Ya Allah, Michelle. Now a professional drummer, he shows me and my sisters the juice man's rhythms by drumming on our backs like a musical massage. At the family cafe, my father was greeted quickly with one kiss on each cheek by Amomitri. He was then put to work cutting cucumbers, chopping parsley, and preparing plates of olives and pink pickled turnips. The cafe was a popular destination for great thinkers, poets, musicians, historians, and storytellers gathered to listen to the exchange of ideas at Al-Mukhtar's cafe. With a rare smile, Sido signaled to my father to follow him down a hallway. Sido unlocked the iron gate and led him to a lush, sunlit garden. Hundreds of homing pigeons rustled in their wooden cages in the shade of a proud olive tree. The next moment, he released all the pigeons and skillfully guided them into a circle in the sky with the help of only a black piece of cloth tied to the end of a long stick. With surprise and delight, my father asked, "Won't they fly away?" Sido shook his head slowly, the key swaying at his side. This is their home. That was the last day my father saw his grandfather. The last time he saw Palestine. Our eyes are heavy with sleep, but we want to hear more. Show us the key, we cry. My father produces the key, the large rusted old key to our family's home in Jerusalem. We know the ending of this story is not a happy one. We know that we may never sit and watch the juice man by Haffa Gate, but we whisper the hope of return as we turn out the light. At night, we dream of our homeland. And in case you didn't recognize some of the words that I said, or you didn't know how to pronounce them, we have a glossary at the back of the book that tells you what they mean and how they can be said. I'm going to briefly read my author's note. My sisters and I grew up hearing stories of our homeland from our mother, father, aunts, and uncles. Sometimes I learned my history at family gatherings when the grown-ups became nostalgic and argued about how we were related to various people. No, you're second cousins on both sides, not first cousins on one side. My family laughed about old stories between the hard times and during too. Sometimes stories were told to my mother by my father's mother, a bond between women, secrets meant to be passed like recipes to her daughters. Someday I hope to pass these stories on to my own children, just like I'm sharing this one with you. The stories told to me and my sisters before bed in the room we shared were the best. In the same night, we would hear a tale of a hero climbing a tower to rescue a magical princess. And then we would learn about our father as a boy, skillfully evading grumpy priests and stealing sweets from his teta's kitchen. Now it's hard to remember which were fairy tales and which were true as the stories blend together and our homeland feels more and more like a magical place. My family lived in the Katamon neighborhood in West Jerusalem until May 15th, 1948, the day Palestinians call Al-Nakba, or the catastrophe. On this day, all my relatives, after being warned of danger, packed small bags, locked their doors, piled into my grandfather's car, and took sanctuary in the Greek Orthodox monastery next to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in East Jerusalem. They were never allowed to return to their homes, and to this day carry with them the keys to their houses, now occupied by others. As the Mukhtar, my great-grandfather, was permitted to live at the convent until he died. My relatives, including my father, visited the old city of Jerusalem each summer until the 1967 war prevented them from returning. Like many refugees, the rest of my family scattered across the world. I have relatives in Chile, Peru, Canada, Switzerland, Jordan, Lebanon, and the United States. We speak different languages, we celebrate different holidays, we eat different foods, but one thing we all share are the stories of our homeland. Thank you so much.
There we go. Now I'm not muted. Thank you, everyone. So that was obviously a recording. So Hannah cannot answer questions. But I love that book so much, and I love hearing her speak. So we were hoping to see if we wanted to see if Daniel can join us as a panelist. And we will talk a little bit about Story Sunbirds to tell you guys a little more. And let's see, Alex, or can we get Daniel to join? There we go. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, how you doing, Rhonda?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Great. We thought we would take a few minutes to maybe you can tell us a little bit about how this all started out and take it away.
Yeah. First I want to acknowledge that these are scary times, and a lot of us are dealing with so much happening. It's been going on for so long, and what's ahead, and there's so much uncertainty, and those are the times when we need art and community the most. That's I think so much of the medicine of how we get through hard times is through story and through art and through connecting to each other. And that's why I'm a writer, because I know that like stories are the most powerful thing in the world. Stories can destroy the world, and stories can create the world anew, and we can create a better world with stories. And I think that's why so many of us became storytellers, whether it's artists or writers or whoever we are in this world. And so I also know that like part two of that is we have to be connected to each other. And there's this idea of writers and artists sometimes that like we all go off on a mountain somewhere all by ourselves, far away from the world, and then we create these works of genius, and then we come back and give it to the world. But that's not real. That's not reality. Like storytellers are part of the world always, and the work that we create is better because we're part of the world and connected to one another, to each other, both to other writers and artists and to our readers and to our communities and all that. And so with that in mind, I knew that because so many of us were struggling so much to figure out how to respond to the genocide going on in Gaza and Palestine as a whole, and it felt like the world at large around us, especially institutions like publishers and literary institutions, were not standing up alongside of us. They weren't supporting us, and they weren't supporting Palestine, and there was a lot of middling and all that other stuff. And it was infuriating. So many of us were so angry and so sad to be failed by the organizations that were supposed to be on our side. And so, it was a very simple act of opening up a space and saying, look, we need a place where we can talk and heal and, put our heads together and put our hearts together and figure out how to respond, and also how to just be in community, and also how to create work and be creative, because at the end of the day, it's also always goes back to us being storytellers. And so I just set up a signal chat, and and invited people that I saw, even people I didn't know, but people who I saw were speaking out, and people who were going through a lot of the same emotions that I was going through. And that was it. That was the beginning of so much, because I think we all needed that space really badly. And then we all gathered and we all shared, and people brought their whole selves. And I think that's a lot of the other thing, is we don't always know where we can be our full selves in a lot of spaces at conferences and festivals. It feels like we're supposed to be this version of ourselves that's not fully authentic, or that we're not allowed to talk about this or that, or that'll be too political. And there's nothing more honest than speaking out about something horrible happening. That's the true part of who we are. So from that, it became different ideas that people started to throw into the room, and it just became this great synergy and energy and fusion. And we had some small or large, I guess, online events where we had people come and join us and throw ideas around, and it's just grown and grown and grown since then. And what that I think speaks to is just exactly what I said, is that there's such a deep need in times of crisis, especially, but at all times, for community, for honesty, for our authentic selves, and for storytelling. And that's what we've been doing ever since.
Yeah, it's been so needed, I think, for so many of us, and really finding community, as you said, during these like really hard times has been so important. Um, Thank you, Daniel.
Of course.
You are actually up next
I
too,
am.
but
I'm-
we are going
yeah.
to stop